into culture.
Here we are out at Queensland Raceway today. My name's Bailey. I'm here with Kyle, and this is Car of the Month. Thank you for joining me today.
It's all good, bro. Pleasure to be here.
We've been out on the track a bit this morning, had some good fun.
We did.
Now, I want to backtrack before we get into it.
Yep.
Back to when I first saw the car, back in 2022. So I was scrolling through TikTok one day.
Oh, this is
and
yeah,
I saw this wide body thing down at World Time Attack. It was getting unveiled on TikTok. I just saw this video.
What, the live stream or?
No, it was
just a video?
Yeah, just someone had put a video up.
Yep.
And I remember seeing it, I'm like, damn, that thing's fucking nuts. I had no idea that it was like in Queensland or anything, you know?
Dude, everyone thought I lived in America.
Yeah, I had no clue. And then it was like a day or two later and I was at Downshift in Beenleigh.
Yep.
And
right there.
I'm walking around and then all of a sudden I just saw it. I'm like, wait, that's the car I saw like when I was scrolling just the other day. And I was like, this thing's sick. And I'm pretty sure I made a little TikTok of it. And I was like, yeah, this thing's mad.
Yeah.
And if I can find that, I'll include it in here.
Sick.
But yeah, I remember
cool.
seeing it and just thought like, this thing is like nuts. Not like anything I'd ever seen. But yeah, so for those who don't know who you are and don't know what this thing is, introduce yourself, give us a little rundown of what we've got here.
Yeah, okay, so if you don't know me, I'm built by Kyle, and I essentially just build MX-5s. That's what I've built like my whole brand around, and I run my own workshop, North Brisbane, so I just tinker with cars all day, every day, build my own cars. It's a pretty shitty time. But essentially, you said go back, right? You wanna
let's go back.
Okay.
To what's the car first?
Oh yeah, so it's a 1996 Mazda MX-5.
Right. It doesn't quite look like one anymore. Looks a little different. So let's go back to when you first got the car.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So essentially, I knew I wanted to build like something crazy. If you go like way back, one of my first car meets I ever went to, I saw there's this Porsche in Brisbane with the plates like Shigiri or something. It's an RWB. Yeah, it's an RWB Porsche. And I saw that and I'm like, dude, that slaps. Like that is the coolest car I've ever seen.
Nuts. Yeah,
I was like, man, like I always had that vision in my head. I was like, I want to do that one day. I never knew I would do it till a MIATA, but anyway, I was like, I need a car. What am I gonna get? And I'd never built a car at this point. I was a second year apprentice mechanic.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have had the budget for a Porsche.
No. No. So went essentially started looking for an MX-5. I knew I wanted an NA because I'd had two NBs prior to this. And I was like, if I'm going to build one, I'm going to put all my money into it. I want it to be the pop-ups because it's just kind of like the legend MX-5.
So pop-ups is where it's at, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. NBs, don't get me wrong, they're much better cars.
Yeah.
They're much better cars, but they don't have bumper beds. So, there wasn't any for sale. Like, the market was pretty dry at the time. This was just before COVID.
Yeah.
And I went on the MX-5 Club of Queensland's forums, which haven't been touched in a long time. And there was this like 85-year-old lady, and she was like, hey, I need a smash repairer because I'd hit a kangaroo. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I should just email her. And I emailed her. I was like, do you want to sell your car? She straight up was like, no, this is my baby. She's had it since new.
Yeah.
So she bought it in 1996. So I was like, oh, whatever. And then like a few weeks later, she hits me back and is like, yep, I want to sell it. This is how much I want for it. I was like,
done.
Sweet. Drove 4 hours to Harvey Bay.
Yep.
With my missus. Then drove this back. Don't know how I got back. The rad was split. and it was leaking from like every place it could leak from.
Yeah.
I didn't know because she was like, "Oh, it's got a little oil leak," and I'm like,
Yeah, she'd
I'm like,
be
I'm
right.
a
I'll
second
make
year
it back.
mechanic, bruh. I was like, I can fix it. It's all good.
Yeah.
The next day, I pulled the engine out of it and just started the build. And I'd never pulled an engine out of a car in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to figure it out. Was really keen to just learn. So, yeah, ripped the engine out the next day and then started this whole massive journey of an RWB MIATA. Rotweld MIATA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you bought it stock, bit banged up.
Like the most bone stock MX-5 I've seen.
Yeah.
Like stock radio.
Yeah, okay.
You're not stock on it, stock radio.
Down to the smallest thing.
Yeah.
So then you just pulled it out, and did you have the vision then of what you wanted to, or did that sort of just evolve throughout the journey?
It was always going to be a wide body car, so
Okay.
I always wanted a wide body car. I was like, I just thought they were so hot, and they were so cool, and so like edgy because it was illegal. And I was like, I was always going to do Rocket Bunny, actually. And then I was like, Rocket Bunny's, it's not wide enough.
Right.
And you can't get wheel fitment good because of how the arches sit. And I was like, that's going to annoy me. And so I was at the time where I was like, what wide body am I going to do? And then one of my followers, I had like a request. And they're like, oh, hey, this dude in New Zealand built this kit. Maybe you should see if he'll build you one. Okay. And I literally saw the photo of his car and I was like, that's it.
That's
that
exactly
has
what
to
you
be
wanted.
It. Like, I didn't care how much it costs or how long it was going to take to make. I was like, dude, I need this. And so, yeah, this is the second kit he ever made. It's like, first was his.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, dude, I freaking love it. I think it looks gangster.
Yeah.
And then, like, with the fastback roof in it, it really ties to the whole, like, RWB.
Yeah. Now, like you mentioned, I can really see, like, where you're drawing that inspiration from. So, like, what is the kit exactly? I know it's different to what you had. You've made some changes recently. So what is it? What was it and what do we have now?
You have the love child between 4 different kits in this now.
Yeah.
The skirts are a kit on its own. The flares are a different kit. The roof is different. The splitter's different. The bumper's different. Like, essentially, I built this car into the red iteration of Ruby version 1.
Which is probably when most people would have been introduced
100%.
to you in your car.
And then when I decided to rebuild it, I was like, it just has to be so unique. Different that it's like it just has to be.
You're not going to see it anywhere else.
Has to be crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I was pretty much just standing in my garage one day. It's actually on one of my videos. I'm like losing my shit in my garage.
Yeah.
And I kind of like put the bumper on and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then I like, and then
all of a sudden
it just worked. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if that splitter that I've had for like 5 years for a different car will fit. And then I put it up and it literally lined up perfectly. And I was like, what have I just done?
I remember I watched that video. That was like a couple months ago.
And then, like these skirts, like they are not for this car at all. Like
just made it work.
Yeah. I just had to. Like, I just love how it turned out.
Yeah. So you also mentioned before you wanted to go wide body and it was illegal.
Yeah.
Now, I know you had a little bit of a mishap a little while back, which has caused the car to end up like this.
Yeah. So
what happened?
That was my biggest downfall. Was I built a car to, like, I've always wanted a wide body car, so I built the widest wide body car I could.
Yeah.
And then, it got taken off the road because it was wide.
Yeah.
It sucked. But I built a wide body car, so I can't really bitch too much about it.
Yeah.
But, essentially, I got a cop on it. I got the worst cop on his worst day. So, like, I just copped it, man. Like, that video, that video sucks. Like,
that video went a little bit viral as well. It got a few views.
He was so mean, bro.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
Just do what you got to do. Just, calling my, like, he asked me how much I spent on it. And I was like, I've spent 80 grand building it. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's a lot of money for a paperweight. And I was like, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Great. Your wife must love you.
So I could imagine that would have been a pretty rough
That was so rough, dude.
day, because this
legit,
is your dream car, and
I'd put 1,000 Ks on it.
Yeah.
And I spent 80 grand in 2 years of my life building it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I cried on the way home.
Really?
I absolutely cried. Like I was driving home just like all depressed and shit. I can't even remember the time from which he got me to which I got home. But I was like, just like all depressed on the way home. And then I pull into my street.
Yeah.
And I told my missus, I was like, car's done. And she was like, what the fucking? And I pulled in my street and I just started bawling my eyes out. Like,
yeah.
I pulled into the driveway and like just broke down. It
yeah.
sucked. It was, yeah.
So,
but I built an illegal car and I drove it on the road. So.
Exactly. Like that happens.
Yeah.
At that point in time, like what were you thinking? Like obviously you're down, but like what were you thinking for the car then? Like were you gonna maybe think to get it back on the road or?
Yeah. A lot of like my inbox was flooded with messages about how I could rectify it and how this is wrong and all this crap. And I ended up getting quite a few high up people in the Department of Transport look over the car. And like I even had the chief engineer who signs off like all the Army G-Wagons and stuff. And he was like, we can't. Like it's too wide. Like because of how narrow the stock version of the car is. Yeah. You just can't. Like, I went from a 165 tire to a 275 and I pumped it out 200 mil. Yeah. The max you can do it is 12.5 mil per side. Yeah, and it was at 200.
So you pushed the limits just a little bit.
A little bit. Plus we went from a 14 by 5 rim to a 15 by 10. Yeah. And then we negative 100 the offset from stock. So like super freaking cool, but super freaking illegal.
Yeah.
So,
you know, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
So you got it taken off the road.
Sad.
And obviously at a bit of a loss, tried to get it back on the road.
No.
Well, you were trying to see if it would get rectified.
Yeah. Just kept getting turned away.
So you're like, screw it, drift car?
No, it was just pushed into the garage, under a cover. It's when I have enough money to return to this, I will.
Yep.
And it was always actually supposed to be like either a V8 or a rotary revival. Okay. But that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then I started drifting my purple car. Started kind of outskilling the car, what the car could give me as a driver.
Yeah.
So then I ripped the engine out of this. That was a huge decision. I was like, I just didn't want to rip the engine out of this. And I was like,
it's almost accepting the fate of this car.
100%. So I ripped it out, put it in a drift car, did a few events with that, progressed. And then I think over the year that it was off the road, people were like saying, why don't you do this? And I was like, I'm not good enough. I will crash it. Yeah. And fuck that. So I just kind of waited till I got to this level where I thought I was good enough to drive a car like this and not crash it. And then I just, what event was it? Where was I? Halfway Hangs.
Yep.
Literally Halfway Hangs this year. I was like, I need a cool car. Like, I want a cool car. And Ruby is so cool. And I don't need 2 MX-5s. So why not swap literally everything into this?
Yep.
And this be my car. And I took 1 MX-5 on one hoist and one on the other. And it took me 1 month and 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, 1.5 months. To do the whole swap. So we had engine, box, diff, subframes, bushes, arms, hydro, wheels, seats, everything.
Yeah. So other than the kit, what's on this now? Let's go into a bit of detail. So let's talk about the engine.
Yeah. It's literally it's a turbo 1.8. So it's the BP4 that actually came in at stock. So this is the most sought after MX-5. So it's the NA8. Yep. So these came in 1.6s and this is the 1.8 version. But it's not forged or anything. It's just the weakest gearbox with the weakest diff.
Very weak gearbox.
With triple the horsepower from factory. Yes. So we blew a box half an hour ago. We blew second. So yeah, that's
RIP.
Great. Yeah.
So
they're getting expensive, those boxes as well.
Yeah. So going to be looking to upgrade that next.
Yeah. It's just not the time to upgrade, eh? A lot of other things going on at the moment.
Yeah. All right.
Who wants to buy an MX-5? I've got one ready for sale.
Not this one, the other one. You want it?
No, not this one.
No, the other one.
No. 100 grand, it's yours.
So, blown box, we won't talk about that. But yeah, like, what have you done other than that, really,
What have I done?
to make it a drift car? So we talked motor, you got the wide body.
Yep. So turbo engine, wide body. It's got upper control arms, super knuckles, lower control arms. It's got like extended rack ends with S13 parts on it.
Yeah.
I could literally look at any part of this car and it's aftermarket. So
Yeah. So
it's,
touch
it's
everything on this thing.
Seats, carpet, roof headliner, steering wheel, shift knob, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Love
It's not really an MX-5 anymore.
Yeah, well, like I said, when I first saw it, I had to take another look. And I actually, before this, I went back and had another watch of that World Time Attack reveal.
Yep.
And like the stream. And they were saying, they're like, what's under the cover?
Yeah.
And no one had any
Everyone
idea.
thought it was a BRZ or a Supra.
Yeah,
Really...
they were like, oh, what's this? Like, you know, and then they pulled the cover off and it...
Yeah.
Everyone was
talk
just
about fat.
Yeah, everyone was just shocked.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't look like any other Miata out there. Like
That's
is
the best
sick.
part.
Yeah.
I personally don't really like the way stock MX-5s look.
Yeah. Just ain't it.
I don't like them. No, I really don't. like I'm talking fully stock body.
That doesn't surprise me looking at what you've made.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your lowest moment with the car. But what are some of like the best memories this car has brought to you?
Well, when I took the cover off, I proposed to my wife.
Yeah.
Like this, as soon as I did it. So that was another reason that I could never get rid of this. With the offer that came in a few weeks ago, it's like, this is so much more than money. Like even my wife was like,
just the memories and
no, she was pissed when this car got taken off the road.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm just gonna put it in a corner. She was like, really? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, definitely getting engaged with it. That was cool.
Yeah.
Drifting it for the first time last Friday was like freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But every time I sit in the driver's seat of the car, I have the highest moment.
Just love it.
Yeah. I love this car.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Well, that's good. You know, you build it for a reason. You build it to enjoy it. And
yeah,
I mean, if it's putting a smile on your face every time you hop in, you've done something
I'm
right.
biased, but I think it's the coolest looking car ever. It's so gangster.
Well, I am a huge fan of RWB Porsches, so, you know, this does kind of tickle my fancy as well a little bit.
Rothwell Miata. Yes.
I was pretty lucky last year. I got to go along and actually meet him. And
Nucky
watch
Kyle.
him.
Yes.
Yeah, watch him. So that was pretty cool.
Kyle's son.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So you've had obviously like some other memories outside of this car. I know you do your YouTube, do a bit of social media sort of stuff. You were just over in Japan. We were talking about it a bit before, you know. How is that sort of experience being over there and just some of like the things you've actually done yourself?
Yeah. Japan's wild, man.
Yeah.
Anyone who's not been to Japan needs to go to Japan because we booked that so last minute. Like, what, 3 days? 3 days before we flew out. We didn't have anything booked, no accommodation, nothing. And that was it's just so good. Like, if you love drifting, Japan is the place.
Yeah.
I was over there like, dude, I could live here.
Yeah. Okay.
But it'd be really hard for someone like me because I'm celiac, so I can't eat any gluten, so like no bread or anything like that. So in Japan, it's actually really hard to eat.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, like soy sauce, can't eat soy sauce.
Really?
Yeah. So
you're screwed over there.
Japan kind of sucked from an eating point of view, but everything else was the best thing ever. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Japan was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been over to SEMA as well.
Yeah, went to SEMA. SEMA's really crazy.
Yeah.
But what people don't know about SEMA is it's a trade show. It's not.
Yeah, it's
just
not a car show.
No.
Yeah, it's for business.
It's a trade show with business cars to show their products off. So, if you didn't know, SEMA's not an open to the public event.
You have to get a proper pass.
You can't just go to SEMA. It's actually really hard to get a pass. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. If you're in the industry, check out SEMA because it's really cool.
I remember watching you over there. I don't know if it was your first time at SEMA, but you went and met TJ.
Yeah.
He recognised your car.
That's
got to feel like pretty cool.
Yeah,
you know,
it was
someone
sick.
all the way on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Not really just like someone pretty. Yeah. You know, big.
That was really cool.
Your car.
To meet him at SEMA, and him recognise my car, to just like hanging out with him in Japan, and properly like sharing a meal with him.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Living the dream a little bit, you know.
Oh, thanks, bro.
That's pretty cool. I remember watching
Blessed.
that, and I was like, damn, that's pretty sick.
Hell
like,
yeah.
you know, him recognising
Hell yeah.
your car. Like,
Yeah.
that's got to be
That was a good
pretty
moment.
special.
That was a cool moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And at that point, I was just like, no way.
Yeah.
How do you know this car?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Now, also, one thing I don't know many people know about you, which I want to understand the sort of transition, if there's any. You
had to ask me.
used to be a dancer.
Dude, I shouldn't have posted that on my story.
Now, I saw your story the other day.
But
But
how many people
I also
messaged me about that?
I had one of my mates also, when I mentioned that I was doing Car of the Month with you, I had one of my mates mention something about it.
Oh,
and
really?
I was like, I wasn't aware. And
Who? How'd they know?
my mate Jacob with the Supra. Do you
Oh,
know?
yeah. How does he know?
I don't know. But
I only met him a few
Yeah.
years ago. What?
he mentioned it to me. I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
How did you go from dancing now to just drifting in cars? Like
Whoa.
what? Like,
Okay.
have you always been into cars, or was it just like, yeah? Explain it.
I don't see myself from going from dancing to cars. I see myself from going from skateboarding to cars.
Okay,
Because-
because that's the thing. Most people go from
it's
skating
either
or
skating
BMX.
or BMX. Yeah. So I was a skateboarder.
Yeah. Okay. Me too.
Yeah. So I don't really see the dance transition, but yes, I danced for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Professionally, and yeah.
And just sort of like
Yeah.
stopped and then spare
I
time just
broke
into
my
cars.
ankle. I did like the world's biggest comp in
Yeah.
Arizona, and then I broke my ankle, and that was career over.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, I just got over it, and then I came back. It's kind of like going to SEMA. You go over there and you see the best of the best, and then you come back and you're like,
Oh.
what do we have?
Yeah.
When you go over to America and you're like, these people be living.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Well, like, I was in Dubai like 2 years ago, and I was like
yeah.
seeing all the cars and stuff over there.
Yeah.
I came back and I was just like desensitized. Like
100%.
I'd see
Dude.
stuff here. I'm like,
Dude, if
Lame.
you go to SEMA, you'll come back here and be like,
this sucks.
it's like that meme of that guy in a suit, and he's like,
Just looking around.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
So yeah, you.
Breakdancing.
So
skateboarding,
once
cars.
the dancing sort of stopped, is that when your car journey started more, or like were you still involved with cars?
I was definitely
that.
involved with cars when I was dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first car was a Subaru Impreza with the cannon on it, an STI wing. It was a
City.
Hawkeye, so I made it look like an STI.
Yeah.
Brother, an STI would have been better than that car.
Yeah.
Not a Subi STI either.
I knew what you were meaning. No hate to the Subi guys out there. It's alright.
Oh, NA Imprezas.
No comment.
No comment.
Okay, so the car part was always sort of there. Did you
Yeah.
have any sort of influence from family or?
No, it was my best friend who was into cars.
Okay.
I wasn't actually into cars really that much.
Okay.
Took me to a meet and I saw a Supra and I was like, this is it.
Okay.
Cars are sick. And
See, that's different to like what I'm used to hearing. You normally hear
like,
people
oh,
say
I
it's like,
fucking turned
Fast
wrenches when
and
I was two.
Furious,
Yeah.
or like, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
my parents, you know, were into cars. Like, you know, I grew up in a car family. Like, that's normally, or like,
Yeah.
you know,
Dad likes
video
cars.
games or stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's normally like what you hear. But
yeah.
like,
Need for Speed Underground, and I beat all of them over and over and over. So I guess so. Like,
so there was
yeah.
always like a part of it, but you were never like fully into it, I guess.
yeah, I never went as far as going like, what's a JDM car and should I buy one?
So today we're out on the track and we touched on it just before. You've
Yep.
blown the box.
Yep.
Where
Dude,
to?
I love blowing boxes. You weren't ready for that one.
So where to Now, we were talking a bit earlier, you were like 50 more horsepower would do so much, but then you'll start breaking stuff. Now, you've already broke stuff. What do you think you're going to do next? Do you have any idea what you want to do now with it?
Honestly, it's been such a build-up to here that I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yep.
That's it.
Just enjoy it.
I'm just going to drive it as much as I can and enjoy it as much as I can. Get it to as many events, get it seen, just drive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I want. That's all I want to do is drive.
Yeah. Well, also, hopefully I get this video out in time, this Saturday.
Come see it with
you're
going to
have your car along. You're going to have your car at the Shannon's event in Eagle Farm in Brisbane, which I'm helping out with. So
be there.
Yeah, come along. You can check the car out in person. If I haven't got this edited in time, well then it was at the event.
Unlucky for you.
Yeah, thank you for
having
me out here today and sitting down, having a chat, taking me out on the track. It was awesome.
It was
Sit
fun.
Paso.
Yeah, hell
Had
yeah.
a lot of fun. It was great to hear about it. And yeah, if you guys want to read the full story, along with some of the photos and stuff, you can check that out on the website. That'll be in the link down below, or you can look it up. And if you want to actually watch the full journey, everything that's been done to this car, you can head over to Kyle's YouTube channel, Built by Kyle, and his Instagram, all the socials. Check him out. He puts out some pretty awesome content. Oh, just talk straight into it. Thanks for coming along.
No, that's all good,
and
man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Most awkward outfit ever.